Just a few weeks ago, we revisited the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus, and even after 2 years, it's still a good phone today and I still recommend it for a used phone. That said, I thought it might be a good idea to revisit the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, which is the successor to that phone. The timing couldn't have been better since my experience with the 12 Pro Plus is still fresh and I can still see the smallest differences between the two. But to spoil you a little bit, yes, the 13 Pro Plus is better in some ways. Although it's technically better in small ways, it accumulates into a significantly different and sometimes a better experience. As far as the pricing goes, the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus still carries a premium price tag for what it is. Although its features are still good for the price, 6 months is usually the life cycle of mid-range phones. With that in mind, there are two new phones out right now that might make you reconsider buying this one: the Tecno Camon Premier 5G and the Poco F6 Pro. The Camon phone is technically impressive in the camera department, which packs three 50-megapixel sensors on the back, something that's only seen on flagship phones, not to mention a half a terabyte storage. While the Poco phone has one of the fastest chipsets available to date, just second to the best Qualcomm chipset right now. But if we zoom out a little bit and not focus on the specs and pricing, there are a few key advantages that made the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus still a decent choice. So let's talk about performance already, since you might be interested in that. Coming from the Note 12 Pro Plus, there is an immediate positive impact on performance, all thanks to the Dimensity 7200 Ultra. I did say that the Note 12 Pro Plus's Dimensity 1080 was still fast with some occasional stutters, but here that's totally gone. This is not exactly a gaming chipset, but for a premium mid-range phone, you definitely have enough power for everyday use and some for the next few years. That's the good thing about phones today. The way we used our phones hasn't changed much, but the power of these small devices just keeps getting better and better every year. So long you're just a casual gamer, this phone will be just fine. One of the good things about Xiaomi phones is that they tend to have good software support from the company even after 2 to 3 years. When this went out, Xiaomi promised 3 years of major updates and 4 years of security updates. This started with Android 13, now it's running Android 14 with HyperOS on top, and you're still going to receive 15 and 16. To compare, the Camon 30 Premier launched just a few weeks ago but with Android 13, so even though the company promised 3 years of major updates, you're still going to end up with Android 16 at the end of its software cycle. As far as optimization goes, I can't stress enough how far and mature Xiaomi's software has gone. Yes, they are plagued with ads, which is true to Technip phones as well, but so long you're not using first-party apps, you only have to deal with them once. For the battery life, the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus remains solid even with a more powerful chipset. The 5000 mAh cell can still last a whole day depending on your use, but in my case, I almost always clock in 5 to 6 hours of screen time without playing games and on Wi-Fi all the time. But even if the battery isn't enough for your type of use case, let's say you're a heavy phone user, that 120-watt charger will surely keep you addicted to using your phone because all you need is 20 minutes to go from 0 to 100. As for the Camon 30 Premier, it's still fast at 70 watts but will top up in 45 minutes flat. Then there's the camera. This may not be packing three 50-megapixel sensors on the back, but the main camera is really where you want to focus on because it's got 200 megapixel with OIS in tow. So as far as photos go, the immediate difference I've noticed compared to the Note 12 Pro Plus is the over-sharpening effect. Xiaomi appears to have dialed back the artificial sharpening, and I've been getting natural-looking photos with this sensor. The colors improved quite a bit, but not much, with subjects looking less pale and more balanced, but really the downside of this camera is the dynamic range. As soon as you capture something backlit, the HDR process struggles to keep a photo properly exposed. I mean, the details will start to look soft and smudgy, and the highlights will have some weird purple tint. You just have to watch out for that. But just like most high megapixel cameras on phones, the plane of focus when capturing close-up subjects is thin, so you'll easily notice the frame from the center all towards the edges will gradually go out of focus. Not a big deal, but something worth pointing out. I will admit that I don't shoot a lot of night mode shots, but I noticed that you really have to have a stable hand or a tripod in place just to make sure that the photo won't look blurry on bigger screens. It is something you won't notice on a small screen like a phone or without having to really zoom in, but once you view it on a monitor, it's different. As far as videos go, it's great. It still has that HDR problem, but at least this phone isn't trying hard to expose everything. The stabilization is more than good enough, the overall quality is above average, but the colors in auto mode could be a bit better. The white balance tends to lean towards blue and purple, so to really get the most accurate videos, you may want to manually set the white balance in Pro mode. By the way, Xiaomi still loves overexposing everything, so when I shot all of these, I was either in negative zero point .3 or negative 7 exposure to compensate for the over brightening effect. That said, I wish the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus performed better as a point-and-shoot camera because despite having better quality than its predecessor, I feel like not everyone is willing to do the extra step like adjusting exposure or white balance before taking a shot. But if there's one thing that stands out for this phone against the newer ones, it's that design and display. What you're getting here is a near flagship level display with a 6.67 inches curved AMOLED panel with over 68 billion colors, including Dolby Vision support and a peak brightness of 1800 nits in HDR. You also have Gorilla Glass Victus protection for all that goodness. I know curved panels are not everyone's cup of tea, but there are people out there who dig this kind of display despite the downside in practicality. Even though I've tested new phones, the Redmi Note 13 Pro still ranks above most of them. They're just that good. The same applies to the curved design carrying IP68 water and dust resistance, whereas the Camon 30 Premier and Poco F6 are only carrying IP54 and IP64 respectively, meaning you can submerge these two new phones in water. But if we're talking about design and look, at least for the Aurora Purple variant that I have here, it can go head to head with the Camon 30 Premier and bests the plain looking Poco F6. Personally, I dig the design and feel of the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus because it's unique and doesn't attract a lot of fingerprints. The rest of the phone is still good, like the fast in-display scanner and the loud and above average stereo speaker. Calls are sufficiently loud, but if you're used to absurdly loud call speaker, then you may have to switch to loudspeaker mode. Nonetheless, that's my take on the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus. Selling a premium mid-range phone is hard even if you're Xiaomi because their fans are used to budget or affordable phones, which this phone is not. But with the new phones in town, it has only become harder for this phone to stand out, especially when most of their fans are looking for better performance or better cameras. This may not be the perfect enthusiast phone for most, but I think it still has a place for certain type of users. So that's it for this one. Drop a sub or like if you feel like supporting the channel. And as always, until the next one, stay safe.